Let's work on our social studies, where we're going to read from our textbook page 306, 307, and we'll also complete our practice book page 51. And also at another time, if you want to check out the How It's Made social studies playlist that I have on my YouTube channel, I encourage you to check that out. There are a few things I want to highlight for you. One of them is the rainbow bagels. There's a specialty bagel shop in New York that makes the most incredible looking rainbow bagels. You can also check out muffins and bagels that are also made in a factory. When you're ready, let's go ahead and get started first with our textbook. Textbook page 306 and 307. It's called Use a Bar Graph. We've done quite a lot of this in first grade already, so this will feel like a great review. A bar graph uses bars to show how many or how much. You can use a bar graph to compare numbers or amounts of things. So we're going to take a look. We do have an example bar graph down below, but let's keep reading here. It says, the title tells you what the graph shows. The title means the name of the bar graph. This graph shows how many boxes of crayons were sold at different stores. Read each row from left to right. Each colored block stands for one box of crayons. Count the blocks to learn how many boxes were sold at each store. Okay, so here we see that shown right here on this bar graph. It says boxes of crayons sold. We have Mrs. Garcia's store, and we have 1, 2, 3, 4. That's why it's shaded in to the number 4. Mr. King's store, we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. We also see that lining up, it goes all the way to the 8 down below. Miss Lee's store, we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and it lines up with the number 6 down here. And we have Mr. Smith's store with 1, 2, 3, which lines up with the 3 down below. Let's answer a few questions just to practice reading a bar graph. It says, how many boxes did Mrs. Garcia's store sell? Let's look at hers. Mrs. Garcia. Go to the end of her bar and then follow that straight line down. How many did her store sell? 4. 2. Whose store sold the most boxes? Look carefully. Which one has the most? You can see it stands out the most because it's so long. This bar right here goes all the way to 8. And whose store is that? Mr. King's store. And number 3, who sold more boxes, Miss Lee or Mr. Smith? Here we have to do a comparison. So let's first look at Miss Lee. Let's see, Miss Lee, her store sold 6. And then we compare it with Mr. Smith. Mr. Smith sold 3. So who sold more? Miss Lee or Mr. Smith? Miss Lee's store did. Okay, now that we've done a quick review, let's go ahead and work on our practice book page. This is practice book page 51 called Make a Bar Graph. Ask 5 friends to choose their favorite food from the pictures on the graph. Color in one space by a food each time someone chooses it. Then use the graph to finish the sentences. Now, first grade, if we were in our classroom, this would be easy for us to accomplish by asking 5 other friends in our classroom. But if you are unable to do that because we're not together, then here are the other options we can do. Maybe if you have other people living in your house with you right now and you could ask them these questions, that might help you to have a few votes. And then the other ones that you need, you can either, maybe if you want to, you can call a person and ask them, or you can create your own invented answer for what you think someone might choose. So here we have a hamburger, a sandwich, and a bowl of soup. So you're going to ask 5 people. At the end, you need to have 5 votes. So that's an important number. We need to remember all together at the end, we only have 5 votes. So you're going to imagine or ask people what their favorite option would be between a hamburger, a sandwich, or soup. Now, if you're struggling to think of people, here's one thing I can tell you. If I had to choose between these three things, I would really love to choose a sandwich. I think sandwiches are delicious, and there's so many different varieties that you can pick. So you could use my vote for your page. So if you want to fill in one bar here for the sandwich column, we're going to start from left and we go out to the right. Here we have our numbers starting here at 0, and then they increase going across to the right. So one vote that you know now already is one vote for sandwich if you choose to use my vote. If you don't want to use my vote, that's okay too. Just use other people that you know of. So since I do know my own vote, I'm going to go ahead and fill this in here. Here, now my bar graph went from 0 votes for sandwich. Now all the way, I stop at the number 1 because I have one vote. Now I'm going to go ahead and continue filling this in because I need to have a total of 5 votes. So whatever your bar graph looks like, it might be totally different than someone else in our class. And that's okay because each person is asking different people. So each bar graph might look different than someone else. Maybe you're going to end up with 4 votes for hamburger and no votes for soup. That's totally great. Whatever your bar graph looks like is totally fine. Now, at the end, once you've completed your 5 votes and you've colored and shaded in your bar graphs, now you need to answer 2 questions. The food chosen the most is... The food chosen the least is... Now, maybe on your bar graph, it's clear to see which one has the most votes and which one has the least. But it could be possible that maybe 2 of these items have a tie, meaning they have the same number of votes. That's okay too. And if that happens, you can just write both of those options as best you can on this small line here. I'll write the names of these options that way that you have that word when you're ready to write it on either one of those lines. Okay, so this one is a burger, so I'm just going to shorten it to burger instead of hamburger or cheeseburger. I'm just going to call it a burger, so it's a little bit shorter. This one here, sandwich. Oh, my H had to go a little bit above, so sandwich. Here we are. And then soup. So when you are ready and you need to write those words here on these last 2 lines, you've got them right here to help you out.